Hey, what's up? This is Ill Tal Music. We have a really fun one for you today. We're going to be breaking down Pete Rock and CL Smooth's Can't Front on Me, which personally is one of my favorite Pete Rock beats. This one comes off of their debut album, Mecca and the Soul Brother, and it's got a whole bunch of different records and different parts, so it should be really cool to break it down. I also want to point out that these videos are probably going to get content matched on YouTube, so I'm not going to make any money off of them. I'd really appreciate if you check out my album, Felion, link in the description, or if you're watching on IGTV, link is in my profile. Really appreciate if you go stream the album, cop a cassette. Vinyl comes out in February, so if you're into that, make sure you check it out. So as I mentioned in the intro, this beat has a lot going on. There's two drum breaks that are layered on top of each other. There's the filtered bass line with the main loop. There's also some horn stabs, and then there's a Rhodes sample in the background. As you can see, I got a lot of records. We're gonna do a couple episodes on that, go dig through some rare stuff. It'll be really cool. But in the meantime, let's go hit the crates. So I didn't do this in the last video because I thought it was going to make it too long, but I figured I'd try it on this one. I think it's interesting, but I'm a record nerd, so I don't know if anybody else does. If you think I should just omit it from the future videos, let me know. If you think I should keep it in, then cool. So this first record here is by Tyrone Washington. It's a jazz album. It's kind of a one-tracker in my opinion, but that one track has been used multiple times throughout the 90s. There's a lot of horn hits on there. Pete Rock has used it multiple times by himself, but besides that, it's alright. This next record here is by the 5 Stair Steps. They were kind of a knockoff of the Jackson 5. After the Jackson 5 blew up, there was a lot of quote-unquote little kid groups that tried to come out. So this is basically like that. But this has a really dope drum break. Another famous use by it is from Naughty by Nature. You're definitely going to recognize it once you hear it. This next album here, Ghettos of the Mind, which I'm sure you recognize if you're already a Pete Rock fan. It's basically a poetry album with some like spiritual jazz thrown in there. Pete Rock has used this a couple times for some vocal interludes and stuff like that, but there is a piece on here that was used on Can't Front on Me. This album, I don't know if you noticed when I was digging through the records, you probably saw like 20 albums that all said hair. It's a very famous Broadway musical. There was a ton of cover albums done of it. This is one of those. If you ever see it when you're out there digging, pick it up because there's always some type of loop on there that somebody used or will use in the future. And last but not least, we have the classic breakbeat, Synthetic Substitution. Yes, this is an original. Took me a while to find this one. I will take it out of the frame. At first, I was going to use the Ultimate Breakbeats version for this video, but I want to keep it as authentic as possible. Now it's time to go record all these on the turntable and get them into Pro Tools.
Been so concerned. Where do I go?
So Pete Rock made this beat on an SP1200. So since I don't have one, I ran all the samples through an Akai S5000 to get that low bit crunchy sound. If you want to see how I did that, check out my last Easy Mo B video that I did. So everything's loaded up on the MPC. Let's go through all the individual parts so you can hear how it was put together, and let's try to recreate this beat. So here we have all the different parts of the beat. First we have the 5 Stair Steps drum break. Then we have the Synthetic Substitution drum break. Then we have the main loop. Then we have the Rhodes sample. And then we have the 2 little horn hits. That second one sounds a little off, I'll fix that. So the first part I did is I set the BPM, which I have it into 90.8, and I matched the 2 drum breaks so that they're the same BPM, and this is what I got. So for the next part of this beat, I'm going to add in the main loop. So for the next part of the beat, I'm going to add in the horn stabs. They're gonna sound really funny because they're unfiltered and they don't have the echo on them, but this is the ones that Pete Rock used. So now I got everything looped on the MPC. I'm gonna record it back into Pro Tools and start fixing the beat so it actually sounds like the Pete Rock thing and not some nonsense that you just heard right now. But you're gonna get to see how much was done to the beat afterwards. All right, so the first thing I had to fix was the horns because they were crazy off. Basically, what I did was cut the lows all the way to about 250 hertz and cut the highs a little bit too. And then there's some reverb I added, just some hall reverb, about 50%. And the pitch was way off, so I had to make it a little bit higher. For the Rhodes sample, that was pretty, I didn't really have to do too much to it. I just EQ'd it a bit to roll off some of the bottom and boost up some of the highs over here. For the main loop, it was crazy offbeat. So when I loaded it in, it did not fit on the grid at all. I fixed it so that it lined up and matched the BPM. For the bass line, I basically copied the main loop and only took out one of the channels, boosted up around 92 hertz, cut off the top end so you get that filtered bass line that was really popular in the 90s, and then added a little bit of compression so it wasn't too overpowering. For the drums, I didn't really have to do much to the 5 stair steps break, but for the synthetic substitution break, I chopped it up to kind of more match the alignment of the drum hits in here, and it sounds pretty close to the P-Rock version now. I think there may be like an extra bass drum hit somewhere in the real P-Rock one, but it sounds pretty close to me. So honestly, this beat was kind of hard to remake, so major props to P-Rock because it must have been really hard to actually make it on the spot, especially on the SP1200 because it's really limiting, especially with the space and everything else and how to edit. So I got a couple other recreation videos that I have in mind that are ready that I'm going to start working on. Right now, I'm, doing the research, trying to get the records that I need to make them and everything else. But if you have any requests, let me know in the comments. Just want to point out that I'm trying to focus on things that are way older because I really don't want anybody to get in trouble for some uncleared sample or something like that. So I'm really trying to focus on things from the early 90s and before. And that's it. Now it's time to hear the final product. Follow me on YouTube, or if you're on IGTV, make sure you follow me on at Ill Tal Beats. And also don't forget my album, Felion, out right now. Peace.